Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a world that smells worse than it sounds. And trust me, it sounds pretty bad. You're not strolling through a medieval castle or sipping mead in a tavern tonight. No, you're waking up in a brothel, somewhere in the shadowy corners of a medieval city, where the air is thick with rot, sweat, and something you can't quite name but wish you could forget. The walls are stained, the floor is sticky, and the scent of desperation clings to everything like a second skin. You probably won't survive this, but you're going to try. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing where you're listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake up before the sun, not because you're rested, but because the stench won't let you sleep. It's a cocktail of mildew, sweat, and bodily fluids, some fresh, some ancient. The room is dark, but you don't need light to know what surrounds you. The straw beneath you is damp again, and you're not sure if it's from the rain leaking through the roof or something else. You don't ask. You never ask. The brothel isn't cleaned. Not really. There's a ritualistic sweep of the front room when clients are expected, but the corners stay black with grime. The walls are streaked with soot and something sticky that no one bothers to identify. You've learned to breathe through your mouth, but even that doesn't help when the rot gets into your throat. Historians still argue whether medieval grovels were regulated for cleanliness or simply tolerated as necessary evils. Some cities like London and Paris had official red light districts with vague rules about hygiene, but enforcement was laughable. The reality? You live in filth. You work in filth. You become filth. Your skin itches constantly, not from disease, though that's always a possibility, but from the sheer accumulation of dirt. You haven't had a proper bath in weeks. The water is scarce, and when it's available, it's shared. You've seen girls scrub their feet in a bucket and then pass it to someone else for a face wash. You've done it too. You don't flinch anymore. There's a smell that never leaves. It's not just body odor, it's deeper, more primal. It's the scent of unwashed hair, of menstrual blood soaked into fabric, of old semen and sweat baked into straw. You've tried to mask it with herbs, but they wilt quickly in the damp air. Once, a girl tried burning rosemary. It helped for an hour, then the smoke settled into the walls and made everything worse. You've stopped noticing the rats. They're part of the scenery now. They scurry across the floor at night, nibble at crumbs, sometimes crawl into the bedding. One bit your toe last month. You didn't scream. You just kicked it away and went back to sleep. There's a bucket in the corner for waste. It's supposed to be emptied daily, but sometimes it isn't. When it overflows, the smell becomes unbearable. You vomited from it before, but even that becomes routine. You clean up the mess with a rag that's already dirty, and the cycle continues. You've learned to layer your own scent, a mix of sweat, old perfume, and whatever herbs you can scavenge. It's not pleasant, but it's yours. You once tried using ash to scrub your skin, hoping it would absorb the stink. It left you raw and bleeding. You still do it sometimes. There's no privacy. You dress in front of others, wash in front of others, bleed in front of others. Your body is public property, and hygiene is a performance. You pretend to care about cleanliness because clients expect it, but deep down, you know it's all for show. One fringe account from a 14th century Venetian brothel mentions women using wine to rinse their mouths before clients arrived, not to clean, just to mask the taste of rot. You've tried it. It burns, but it works. For a moment. You've seen girls die from infections that started as small cuts, a blister from a shoe, a nick from a blade. The wound festers, turns black, and then they're gone. No one mourns. The bed is stripped, the straw is replaced, and someone new takes their place. You've stopped hoping for change. Cleanliness isn't salvation here. It's a myth, a cruel joke. You scrub yourself raw and still the stink returns. You try to stay clean and still the lice crawl. You dream of a bath with warm water and soap, but you know it's just a dream. And yet, you endure. You wake up each day in the filth, breathe it in, wear it like armor. Because in this world, survival is the only luxury you can afford.
You reach for the bucket again. The water inside is lukewarm, cloudy, and smells faintly of feet and spoiled meat. It's the same bucket passed around the room, used for washing faces, hands, legs, and sometimes even the rags meant to catch blood. You dip your cloth in, wring it out, and begin scrubbing your arms. The grime doesn't lift, it just rearranges itself. The ritual is mechanical now. You don't expect to feel clean. You just need to look clean enough. The madam checks teeth and skin before clients arrive, and if you fail the inspection, you don't work. That sounds like a reprieve, but it's not. No work means no food, no straw, no protection. So you scrub harder. Historians still argue whether communal washing practices in brothels were a form of solidarity or simply necessity. Some accounts suggest women helped each other bathe, sharing tips and herbs. Others describe a brutal hierarchy, older women hoarding the cleanest water, younger ones left with sludge. You've seen both. You've lived both.
The bucket is chipped, its rim jagged. You've cut your knuckles on it before. The cloth you use is stiff, crusted with old soap and something darker. You don't ask what. You just keep scrubbing. Your skin is red, raw in places, but you've learned to ignore the sting. There's a girl beside you, maybe 15. She's new. She dips her rag in the bucket and hesitates. You watch her flinch at the smell. She'll learn. You did. You remember your first time, how you gagged, how you cried. No one comforted you. They just told you to get on with it. You've tried boiling water once. It took hours, and the firewood was stolen. The madame screamed at you for wasting fuel. You never tried again. Now you just accept the filth. You scrub your feet, knowing they'll be black again by nightfall. There's a fringe tale from a German brothel where women supposedly used beer to wash their hair. You tried it once, sneaking a mug from a drunk client. It made your scalp sticky and attracted flies. You laughed about it later, but only because crying felt pointless. You share everything: water, cloths, combs, even razors. The combs have missing teeth, the razors dull and rusted.
You've seen girls slice their scalps trying to shave. You've done it too. The blood mixes with the water, and no one notices. You've stopped caring about the taste of the water. It's metallic, sometimes sour. You rinse your mouth anyway, hoping it masks the breath of sleepless nights and cheap wine. You spit into the straw and wipe your lips with your sleeve.
The bucket is passed again. A girl with sores on her arms dips her rag in, and you try not to look. You know those sores. You've had them. They ooze, crust over, and never fully heal. You wonder if she'll last the week. You've learned to ration your scrubbing. Too much and your skin splits. Too little and you're punished. The madam doesn't care about your pain, only your appearance. You once saw her slap a girl for having dirt under her nails. The girl had just cleaned the latrine. There's no soap, not real soap. Sometimes you get a lump of lye, harsh and gritty. It burns your skin, leaves it dry and cracked. You've used ash, bark, even sand. They scrape away the top layer, but the stink remains. You've tried making your own cleanser, mixing herbs and oil. It worked for a day, then turned rancid. You still keep a jar under your bed just in case. It's your secret, your little act of control. You've stopped asking for clean water. You take what you're given, use it quickly, and pass it on. The bucket is a symbol now, not of hygiene, but of survival. You scrub, rinse, and repeat, knowing it's never enough. And still you endure. You share the water, the wounds, the rituals. You learn to live in the filth, to find rhythm in the rot. Because in this place, even a dirty rag can feel like a lifeline.
You feel the ache before you even move. It's deep, low in your belly, a dull throb that never quite goes away. You're bleeding again, not from a wound, though those are plenty, but from the monthly rhythm that no one respects. There's no pause, no privacy, no relief. You reach for the rag tucked under your straw pile, stiff and stained from last time. It smells faintly of iron and mildew. Menstrual hygiene here is a cruel joke. You use what you can find, scraps of cloth, bits of wool, sometimes even moss. The cloths are reused, rinsed in the same bucket you use to wash your face. They're never truly clean. You've tried boiling them, but the madam says it's a waste of fuel. So you wring them out, dry them in the corner, and hope they don't give you another infection. Historians still argue whether medieval women had access to dedicated menstrual products. Some suggest that wealthier women used linen pads, or even early versions of tampons made from rolled fabric. But here, in the brothel, you get whatever's left. Sometimes nothing. You've bled into your dress more times than you can count. I remember one winter when the rags froze overnight. You had to warm them over a candle before using them. The wax dripped onto the cloth, and you used it anyway. You didn't have a choice. The pain was sharp, but you were already numb. There's no sympathy.
You're expected to work through it. Clients don't care if you're bleeding. Some prefer it. You've learned to hide the stains, to smile through the cramps, to pretend you're fine. You're not, but pretending is part of the job. You've seen girls collapse from blood loss. One bled for days, pale and shaking until she couldn't stand. The madam gave her wine and told her to get back to work. She did. She died a week later. No one mentioned her name again. There's a fringe tale from a Florentine brothel where women supposedly used crushed herbs to slow bleeding. You tried it once. Parsley and sage mashed into a paste. It stained your skin green and did nothing. You laughed, then cried, then laughed again. You've learned to fold the cloth just right, to tuck it into your undergarments so it doesn't shift. You've learned to ignore the smell, the itch, the constant dampness. You've learned to walk carefully, to sit slowly, to clench when needed. Sometimes you bleed through everything. The straw, the dress, the sheets. You clean it up with a rag that's already dirty. You don't complain. Complaining gets you punished. You once saw a girl slapped for staining the mattress. The mattress was already black with mold. You've tried using wool, soft and absorbent. It worked for a while, until it caused a rash. You've scratched until you bled, then used another rag to stop the bleeding. The cycle never ends. You patch yourself together with scraps and hope no one notices. There's no rest, no time off. You work through the pain, through the bleeding, through the exhaustion. You smile when told, laugh when expected, and collapse when allowed. You've learned to fake energy, to fake desire, to fake life. You've stopped tracking your cycle. It doesn't matter. You bleed when you bleed, and you deal with it. You've tried marking the days on the wall, but the soot covers everything. You gave up after a month. You've seen girls use bark, ash, even paper, anything absorbent, anything available. You've tried it all. Some things work better than others, but nothing feels safe. Nothing feels clean. You're always on edge, always checking, always adjusting. You've stopped hoping for comfort. You just want to survive. You want the bleeding to stop, the pain to fade, the smell to disappear. But it doesn't. It never does. You live in it, work in it, sleep in it. And still you endure. You fold the rag, tuck it in, and stand tall. You smile for the client, even as the blood runs down your leg. Because in this place, dignity is a luxury you can't afford.
You brace yourself. The cleaning ritual is next, and it's never gentle. You sit on the edge of your straw pile, legs spread, cloth in hand, and a bottle of cheap alcohol beside you. Not for drinking, though you wish it were, but for burning. That's what it does when it touches your skin. Burns. You pour a little onto the cloth. It stings your nose, makes your eyes water.
You dab it between your legs, where the skin is already raw from friction, from blood, from use. The pain is immediate, sharp, like fire licking at old wounds. You don't scream. You've learned not to. Historians still argue whether these alcohol washes were recommended by healers or simply improvised by desperate women. Some medieval texts mention wine or vinegar as antiseptics, but they were never meant for daily use on intimate skin. You use it anyway, because it's all you have. You scrub with bark next, birch if you're lucky, oak if you're not. The bark is ground into a powder, mixed with water, and rubbed into your skin. It's supposed to clean. It mostly scrapes. You've bled from it before. You still use it. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Prague where women used nettles to stimulate circulation. You tried it once. The welts lasted for days. You couldn't sit without wincing. The madame laughed and told you to be grateful. It meant you were still alive. You've stopped hoping for relief. The cleaning isn't about health. It's about appearance. Clients don't want to smell rot. They want to smell alcohol, herbs, something sharp and clean. You give them what they want, even if it costs you skin.
You've tried using soap made from animal fat. It's thick, greasy, and smells like death. It clogs your pores and leaves a residue. You'd still use it. It's better than nothing. You once tried mixing it with mint leaves. It helped for a day. You scrub until your skin is red, until the cloth comes away stained. You rinse with water that's already dirty, then pat yourself dry with a rag that smells like mildew. You don't feel clean. You feel exposed. There's no privacy. You clean yourself in front of others, legs open, eyes averted. You've stopped caring. You've seen everything. You've been seen. The shame fades after a while. The pain doesn't. You've learned to time your cleaning. Too early, and you're dirty again before the client arrives. Too late, and you're rushed. You aim for just before dusk, when the men start trickling in. You scrub, rinse, perfume, and wait. You've tried using herbs, lavender, rosemary, thyme. They help mask the smell. You tuck them into your dress, crush them into your skin. Sometimes they cause rashes. You don't care. You'd rather itch than stink. You've seen girls use ashes from the hearth. They mix it with water, smear it on their bodies, then rinse. It leaves a gray film, but it absorbs odor. You've done it too. You once used soot. It worked, but stained your sheets. You've stopped asking for better methods. You take what you're given, use what you find, and hope for the best. You've learned to ignore the sting, the itch, the bleeding. You've learned to smile through it. You've tried making your own cleanser, mixing wine, herbs, and oil. It smelled nice, but turned sour in a day. You still keep a vial under your bed. It's your secret, your little rebellion. You scrub your feet last. They're cracked, bleeding, covered in grime. You use the alcohol again, wincing as it seeps into the cuts. You wrap them in cloth, knowing it won't last. You'll be barefoot again by morning. And still, you endure.
You clean yourself with fire and bark, with ash and alcohol, with desperation and ritual. Because in this place, pain is the price of survival.
You hold the blade like it's a weapon, not against others, though you've thought about it, but against your own skin. It's dull, rusted, and slightly bent. You found it under a mattress last week, left behind by a girl who disappeared. You didn't ask where she went. You just took the blade. Shaving is mandatory. Not for comfort, not for hygiene, but for the illusion of youth and cleanliness. Clients expect smooth skin, even if it comes at the cost of blood. You've learned to shave slowly, carefully, but the blade doesn't care. It bites when it wants to. Historians still argue whether shaving was enforced by brothel rules or simply demanded by clientele. Some medieval texts suggest that hair removal was associated with cleanliness and beauty, especially in southern Europe. Others claim it was a mark of control, another way to strip women of autonomy. You believe both. You start with your legs. The hair is coarse, the skin dry. You wet the blade with spit, it's all you have, and drag it down your shin. It catches. You wince. A thin line of blood appears. You wipe it away with your sleeve and keep going. There's no shaving cream, no oil, just skin and steel. You've tried using animal fat once. It helped, but made you smell like a butcher's stall. The madam complained. You stopped. You move to your underarms next. The skin there is sensitive, prone to rash. You've nicked yourself before, and the wound festered. You still shave. You don't have a choice. The madam checks. If you're not smooth, you don't work. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Marseille where women used hot wax made from bees and herbs. You tried making it once. It burned your skin and left blisters. You laughed, then cried, then laughed again. You shave between your legs last. The skin there is already raw from cleaning, from friction, from use. You go slowly, holding your breath. The blade skips, catches, slices. You don't scream. You just press a cloth to the wound and keep going.
You've learned to angle the blade just right, to stretch the skin, to breathe through the pain. You've learned to ignore the blood, the sting, the fear. You've learned to smile when the madam checks you, even as the cuts throb. You've seen girls get infections from shaving, red bumps that turn into sores, then abscesses. One girl couldn't walk for a week. The madam gave her vinegar and told her to soak. She did. It made things worse. You've tried using herbs to soothe the skin. Chamomile, calendula, mint. They help, sometimes. You crush them into a paste, smear it on the cuts, and hope for healing. You've learned to make poultices, to wrap wounds, to whisper prayers. You've stopped hoping for safety. You just want to survive the blade. You want to shave without bleeding, to work without pain, to sleep without fear. You rarely get all three. You've seen girls shave each other, helping with the hard-to-reach places. It's intimate, tender, almost loving. You've done it too. You once shaved a girl's back, tracing the blade over her spine like a lullaby. She cried. You didn't ask why. You've tried hiding the blade, skipping the ritual. The madam found out. She made you shave in front of everyone. You bled, and they laughed. You never skipped again. You keep the blade wrapped in cloth, tucked under your mattress. You sharpen it with a stone when you can. It's not perfect, but it's yours. You've named it. You won't say the name aloud. It's your secret. And still you endure. You shave with steel and spit, with fear and ritual, with blood and silence. Because in this place, smooth skin is survival.
You collapse into your bed, or what passes for one. It's a pile of straw, damp and sour, layered over a wooden frame that creaks with every breath. The straw is old, flattened, and stained with things you stopped trying to identify. You shift your weight, trying to find a dry spot. There isn't one. The lice greet you first. They're always there, crawling through the straw, nesting in your hair, biting at your scalp. You scratch absently, knowing it won't help. The fleas come next, hopping from the mattress to your skin, leaving red welts that never quite heal. You've tried smoking them out with herbs. It worked once. Then the herbs ran out. Historians still argue whether brothel bedding was ever replaced or simply rotated between girls. Some records suggest straw was changed monthly. Others claim it was reused until it disintegrated. You believe the latter. Your straw feels older than you. You've seen things in the bed. Worms, beetles, once even a rat. It stared at you for a moment, then scurried away. You didn't scream. You just rolled over and tried to sleep. You've learned to sleep through anything. The stains are everywhere. Blood, sweat, semen, wine. You've tried scrubbing them out with ash and water. It made the straw soggy and worse smelling. You gave up. Now you just cover them with a cloth and pretend they're not there. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Bruges where women supposedly stuffed their mattresses with lavender to ward off pests. You tried it once. The scent was lovely, but the bugs didn't care. You still keep a sprig under your pillow. It's your little comfort.
You've stopped expecting rest. The bed isn't for sleeping, it's for working. You lie there, legs open, eyes closed, waiting for the next client. You've learned to dissociate, to float above your body, to pretend you're somewhere else. You've tried patting the straw with old clothes. It helped for a night, then the lice moved in. You burned the clothes. The madam screamed at you for wasting fabric. You didn't care. You slept on the floor that night. it was cleaner. You've seen girls get sick from the bed. Skin infections, respiratory issues, even fevers. One girl coughed for weeks, her breath rattling like broken glass. She died in the bed. They replaced the straw and brought in someone new. You've learned to sleep curled up, arms wrapped around your knees to protect yourself from the cold and the crawl. You've learned to sleep lightly, to wake at the sound of footsteps, to pretend you're awake even when you're not. You've tried making a pillow, stuffing cloth with straw, tying it with twine. It flattened in a day. You still use it. It's better than nothing. You once embroidered it with your initials. They've faded now. You've stopped dreaming. The bed doesn't allow it. You close your eyes and drift, but the itch, the stink, the noise keep you tethered. You've learned to rest in fragments, to steal sleep between clients, to nap with one eye open. You've seen girls sleep in shifts, rotating beds like factory workers. You've done it too. You once shared a mattress with two others, curled like spoons, breathing each other's breath. It was warm. It was awful. It was necessary. You've tried cleaning the bed with vinegar. It masked the smell for a day, then turned sour. You still use it sometimes. It's better than nothing. You once mixed it with mint. It helped, briefly. And still you endure. You sleep on straw and stains, with lice and fleas, with rot and ritual. Because in this place, even rest is a performance.
You wake with a limp. It's not new. It's the same ache that's been growing for weeks, maybe months. It started as a blister, then a sore, then something deeper. You don't remember when it began. You just know it's part of you now, like your breath, like your name, like the smell that never leaves. Infection is your constant companion. It lives in the cuts on your feet, the cracks in your hands, the raw places between your legs. You've tried treating them, herbs, vinegar, even wine, but nothing sticks. The wounds ooze, crust, reopen. You wrap them in cloth and keep moving. Historians still argue whether medieval brothels had access to healers or apothecaries. Some suggest that city-run establishments offered basic medical care. Others claim women were left to fend for themselves, relying on folk remedies and whispered advice. You've never seen a healer. You've seen plenty of infections. There's a girl beside you with a swollen eye. It started as a pimple, then grew, then burst. She covers it with a rag and keeps working. You've helped her clean it, using a mixture of garlic and oil. It stinks, but it helps. A little. You've had boils, big ones, painful ones. You've lanced them with sewing needles, sterilized over a candle. You've screamed into your pillow, then gone back to work. The madam doesn't care. Clients don't notice, or they pretend not to. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Krakow where women used honey to treat wounds. You tried it once. It was sticky, messy, and attracted ants. But it soothed the burn. You still keep a jar under your bed. It's half empty now. You've stopped hoping for healing. You just want the pain to stay manageable.
You want to walk without limping, to sit without wincing, to breathe without flinching. You rarely get all three. You've seen girls lose fingers, toes, even whole limbs. One girl's foot turned black. They carried her out in the night. No one asked where she went. You didn't want to know. You've tried poultices, herbs mashed with lard, wrapped in cloth. They help, sometimes. They smell awful. You've learned to ignore the scent. You've learned to ignore everything. You've stopped asking for help. You treat yourself, patch yourself, whisper to yourself. You've become your own nurse, your own doctor, your own mourner. You've learned to hide the worst wounds. The madam doesn't like weakness. You once saw her slap a girl for limping. The girl had a broken toe. She kept working. She cried later, alone. You've tried bathing in salt water. It stung, but cleaned the cuts. You did it twice. Then the salt ran out. You haven't done it since. You miss it. You've seen girls use urine to clean wounds. You've done it too. It's warm, sterile, and disgusting, but it works. You don't tell anyone. You just do it. You've stopped fearing infection. It's part of life now. You bleed, you ooze, you limp, you endure. You've learned to live with decay, to carry it like a second skin. And still you endure. You walk with wounds, sleep with sores, smile through sickness, because in this place, infection is just another routine.
You pull the dress over your head, careful not to tear the seams. It's stiff, heavy, and smells like old sweat and something sour. You've worn it for weeks, maybe months. You don't remember the last time it was properly washed. You don't remember the last time you had a different one. Clothing here is communal, passed down, patched up, repurposed. When a girl disappears, her dress is folded, well, crumpled, and handed to someone new. You've worn dresses that still carry the scent of their last owner. Sometimes you wonder if the stains are hers or yours. You stop wondering quickly. Historians still argue whether brothel clothing was standardized or improvised. Some city records mention uniforms, red dresses in London, striped bodices in Venice. Others suggest women wore whatever they could find. You believe the latter. Your dress is a patchwork of fabric and memory. You've tried washing it once. You soaked it in vinegar and scrubbed it with ash. It bled color, turned stiff, and shrank. You still wear it. It's the only one you have. The madam says you can earn a new one. You know that's a lie. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Seville where women embroidered their names into their dresses, hoping to reclaim identity. You tried it. The thread broke. You never finished. You still think about it sometimes. The fabric chafes your skin, especially where it's torn. You've patched it with scraps, old rags, bits of curtain, even a piece of someone's apron. It holds together barely. You've learned to move carefully, to avoid new tears. You've seen girls fight over dresses. One claimed hers was stolen. The other said it was assigned. They both ended up with bruises. The madam laughed. You didn't. You've tried perfuming the dress. Crushed herbs, drops of oil, even wine. It masks the smell for an hour, then fades. You still do it. It's better than nothing. You've stopped caring about appearance. You just want the dress to stay intact, to cover what needs covering, to survive another day. You've learned to stitch in the dark, to sew with bent needles, to knot thread with your teeth. You've seen dresses fall apart mid-shift. A sleeve tears, a hem unravels, a bodice splits. The girl keeps working. She wraps herself in a sheet and pretends it's fashion. You've done it too. You've tried making your own dress, piecing together scraps, shaping them with pins. It looked awful. The madam laughed. You burned it. You still dream of trying again. You stopped asking for new clothes. You take what you're given, wear what you find, and make do. You've learned to live in fabric that doesn't fit, that doesn't breathe, that doesn't care. You've seen girls buried in their dresses. No shroud, no ceremony. Just the same stained cloth they wore in life. You wonder if yours will be the same. You hope not. You know it will be. And still you endure. You wear the dress like armor, like shame, like survival. Because in this place, clothing is just another layer of suffering. You begin the ritual again, not for yourself, never for yourself, but for the illusion. Cleanliness here is theater, a performance for men who want to believe they're touching something pure. You know better. You scrub anyway. You start with your face, a cloth dipped in vinegar, rubbed gently over your cheeks. It stings. You smile through it. The vinegar masks the smell of sweat, of sleepless nights, of despair. You've learned to hold your breath while you clean, to avoid gagging. Historians still argue whether brothel hygiene rituals were self-imposed or enforced by madams. Some records suggest women took pride in their routines. Others describe strict inspections and punishments. You've lived both. You've scrubbed for dignity. You've scrubbed for survival. You move to your arms next. The skin is dry, cracked, and dotted with small scars. You rub with ash and water, grinding the grime into your pores. It doesn't lift. It never does. You rinse with the same bucket everyone uses. You don't flinch anymore. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Ghent where women used powdered eggshells to exfoliate. You tried it once. It left your skin raw and bleeding. You still have the scars. You still keep a pouch of shells, just in case. You clean your legs slowly, carefully. The blade left nicks again. You dab them with alcohol, wincing as it bites. You wrap them in cloth, then unwrap them when the madam calls. She checks for smoothness, not health. You pass. You scrub between your legs last. The skin there is always sore, always tender. You use bark powder again, mixed with wine. It burns. You bite your lip and keep going. You've learned to clean without crying. You perfume yourself next. Crushed herbs, drops of oil, sometimes even flower petals. You tuck them into your bodice, behind your ears, under your arms. The scent is fleeting, but it helps. You feel almost human. You've seen girls use soot to darken their lashes, wine to redden their lips. You've done it too. You once used beet juice for blush. It stained your skin for days. The client liked it. You didn't.
You've stopped hoping the ritual will make you clean. It doesn't. It just makes you presentable. You've learned to smile while you scrub, to hum while you rinse, to pretend while you bleed. You've tried skipping the ritual once. The madam noticed. She made you scrub in front of everyone, naked and crying. You never skipped again. You've seen girls collapse mid-cleaning, from exhaustion, from pain, from hopelessness. One girl fainted while rinsing her hair. She hit her head. She didn't wake up. They buried her behind the brothel. No one cried. You've learned to time the ritual, just before dusk when the clients arrive. You scrub, rinse, perfume, and wait. You sit on your straw pile, legs crossed, eyes down, ready. You've stopped asking why. You just perform. You clean for them, not for you. You scrub for illusion, not for health. You smile for survival, not for joy. And still you endure. You perform the ritual with ash and bark, with wine and vinegar, with pain and silence. Because in this place, cleanliness is just another lie you learn to live with.
You remember the girl with the cut on her thigh? It was small at first, just a nick from shaving, barely noticeable. She dabbed it with vinegar, wrapped it in cloth, and kept working. You watched her limp for days, the wound darkening, swelling, oozing. She stopped smiling. She stopped speaking. Then she stopped moving. She died quietly, in the corner of the room, curled up on her straw pile. No one screamed. No one ran for help. The madam covered her with a sheet and told the others to keep working. You did. You had to. Historians still argue whether deaths in brothels were recorded or ignored. Some cities kept ledgers noting names and causes. Others buried women in unmarked graves, their lives erased. You've never seen a ledger. You've seen plenty of sheets pulled over still bodies. You've seen death come from infection, from fever, from bleeding that wouldn't stop. You've seen it come from despair, from silence, from the slow erosion of hope. You've seen girls fade day by day until they simply weren't there anymore. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Milan where women supposedly held funerals for each other, lighting candles and whispering prayers. You tried it once. A sprig of rosemary, a few words, a tear. The madam laughed. You never tried again. You've stopped fearing death. It's part of the routine now. You clean, you work, you bleed, you die. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, sometimes unnoticed.
You've seen girls die from hygiene itself, from the rituals meant to keep them clean. Alcohol burns that turned septic, bark scrubs that tore skin, vinegar rinses that poisoned open wounds. You've used all of them. You still do. You've tried treating wounds with herbs, with poultices, with prayers. Sometimes they help. Sometimes they don't. You've learned to patch yourself together, to keep moving, to pretend you're fine. You've seen girls die mid-shift, a collapse, a gasp, a final breath. The client leaves, the madam replaces the straw, someone new takes the spot. You don't ask questions. You've stopped mourning. There's no time. You clean yourself, dress yourself, smile for the next man. You think about the girl later, in the dark, when the lice crawl and the pain returns. You whisper her name, then you sleep. You've tried marking the deaths, scratching lines into the wall, tying knots in a string. You lost count. You stopped trying. The wall is covered in soot now. The string broke. You've seen girls die from things that should have been treatable. A tooth infection, a rash, a fever. You've seen them beg for help, for rest, for mercy. You've seen them denied. You've stopped asking for mercy. You clean yourself with fire and ash, knowing it might kill you. You smile through the pain, knowing it might be your last. You endure, knowing it might not be worth it. And still, you endure. You watch death come from cleanliness, from ritual, from neglect. Because in this place, even hygiene can be fatal.
You stop crying. Not because the pain is gone, it isn't, but because crying doesn't help. It never has. You cried when you arrived, when the first blade nicked your skin, when the vinegar burned your wounds, when the lice bit your scalp. You cried until your throat was raw. Then you stopped. Emotional numbness creeps in slowly. It starts with silence. You stop speaking unless spoken to. You stop laughing unless forced. You stop reacting to the things that used to make you flinch. The smell, the blood, the bruises, they become background noise. Historians still argue whether emotional detachment among medieval prostitutes was a survival mechanism or a symptom of trauma. Some accounts describe women who found strength in stoicism.
Others speak of hollow eyes and vacant stares. You've seen both. You've become both. You wake, clean, work, sleep. You don't think. Thinking hurts. You focus on the routine, the scrubbing, the shaving, the smiling. You perform your role like a puppet, strings pulled by invisible hands. You don't resist. Resistance is punished. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Antwerp where women painted their faces with ash to hide emotion. You tried it once. It made you look ghostly. The client liked it. You didn't. You've stopped forming attachments. Friends disappear. Lovers betray. Even kindness feels dangerous. You smile at the new girl, but you don't ask her name. You help her clean, but you don't hold her hand. You've learned to keep your distance.
You've seen girls break. One screamed for hours, tearing at her skin, sobbing into the straw. The madam locked her in the cellar. She came back quiet. You don't know what happened. You don't ask. You've tried writing, scratching words into the wall, whispering poems into the dark. It helped for a while. Then the wall was scrubbed. Then your voice cracked. You stopped. You've stopped dreaming. Dreams are dangerous. They make you hope. You've learned to sleep without imagining, to rest without longing, to exist without expectation. You've seen girls try to escape. Some run, some hide, some beg. Most are caught, most are punished. You've never tried. You think about it sometimes, then you clean yourself again. You've tried pretending you're somewhere else, someone else, a noble woman, a healer, a traveler. It works for a moment, then the vinegar stings, then the blade bites, then the illusion fades. You've stopped asking questions. Why me? Why this? Why now? The answers don't matter. You clean, you work, you bleed, you endure. That's all. You've learned to smile on command, to laugh when prompted, to flirt when expected. You've learned to fake joy, fake desire, fake life. You're good at it now. And still, you endure. You stop crying, stop dreaming, stop hoping. Because in this place, numbness is the only shield you have left. You tuck the sprig of lavender beneath your straw pile. It's small, slightly wilted, and barely fragrant anymore, but it's yours. You found it near the market, dropped by a merchant too busy to notice. You snatched it up like treasure, hid it in your sleeve, and brought it back like contraband. It's not for the clients. It's not for the madam. It's for you. A secret act of defiance. A whisper of self-care in a world that demands your silence. You press it to your nose before sleep, imagining fields, wind, freedom. It helps. A little.
Historians still argue whether small rituals like this were common among medieval prostitutes or rare acts of resistance. Some suggest women clung to tokens, herbs, charms, scraps of cloth, as anchors to their humanity. Others believe such gestures were discouraged, even punished. You've seen both. You've lived both. You've hidden other things, too. A smooth stone from the river, a button from a client's coat, a scrap of ribbon. Each one carries a memory, a moment, a feeling. You keep them in a pouch beneath your mattress. You check them when the world feels too heavy. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Lyon where women braided their hair with rosemary to ward off evil. You tried it once. The scent lingered for days. The madam scolded you for wasting herbs. You didn't care. You felt beautiful. You've carved your initials into the bedpost, small, hidden beneath the straw. It's a mark of existence, a claim to space. You trace it with your finger when you feel invisible. You whisper your name. You remind yourself you're still here. You've tried singing, quietly, under your breath, old songs, lullabies, fragments of melody. It soothes you. Sometimes others join in, a harmony of ghosts. The madam hates it. You sing anyway. You've made poultices with care, even when rushed. You've folded your cloth just right, even when it's filthy. You've combed your hair with fingers, braided it with twine, perfumed it with mint. Not for them, for you. You've seen girls do the same. One kept a feather tucked into her bodice. Another wore a ring made from wire. Another painted her nails with berry juice. Small rebellions, quiet dignity. You admired them. You've stopped asking for permission. You take what you can, hide what you must, protect what matters. You've learned to guard your rituals like secrets, like lifelines, like prayers. You've tried making perfume, oil and herbs, crushed and mixed. It lasted a day. You still remember the scent. You still chase it in your dreams. You've written poems in your head, recited them to the walls, to the straw, to the lavender. You've imagined someone listening. You've imagined someone caring. You know they won't. You speak anyway. You've stopped waiting for kindness. You create it. In your rituals, in your tokens, in your whispers. You build a world within the filth, a sanctuary of scent and memory. And still you endure. You tuck lavender beneath your bed, sing to the straw, carve your name into wood. Because in this place, small acts of care are the only rebellion left.
You stare at the rag in your hand, freshly rinsed and folded. It's still damp, still stained, still far from clean, but you hold it like it's a promise that maybe, just maybe, if you scrub hard enough, if you smell sweet enough, if you look clean enough, you might escape this place. Hope is a dangerous thing here. It creeps in quietly,
disguised as cleanliness, as ritual, as routine. You tell yourself that if you keep your skin smooth, your hair neat, your scent pleasant, someone might notice, someone might care, someone might take you away. Historians still argue whether medieval prostitutes believed hygiene could elevate their status or offer a path out. Some records speak of women who married clients, who left brothels for domestic work, who found favor through appearance. Others suggest these stories were rare, exaggerated, or entirely fabricated. You've heard them all. You've believed them all. You've seen girls prepare for important clients, nobles, merchants, men with coin and influence. They scrub harder, perfume more, smile wider. They whisper dreams of being chosen, of being saved. Most are forgotten by morning. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Naples where a woman was said to have escaped after impressing a bishop with her cleanliness and grace. You've told that story to yourself more than once. You've imagined the bishop. You've imagined the escape.
You've tried everything. You've shaved until your skin bled. You've perfumed until your nose burned. You've smiled until your cheeks ached. You've practiced walking gracefully, speaking softly, laughing sweetly. You've rehearsed your rescue. You've seen girls leave. Not many, not often. Some vanish in the night, some are taken by clients, some are buried behind the brothel. You don't know which is which. You don't ask. You've stopped trusting the dream, but it lingers in the way you fold your cloth, in the way you tuck herbs into your bodice, in the way you clean your feet, even when no one will see them. You've tried writing letters to no one, to everyone. You've hidden them under your mattress, behind loose bricks, inside empty bottles. You imagine someone finding them. You imagine someone caring. You've seen girls punished for dreaming. One spoke of escape too loudly. The madam beat her. She stopped speaking. She stopped dreaming. You still remember her eyes. You've stopped speaking of escape, but you haven't stopped imagining it. You picture a bath with warm water, a bed with clean sheets, a room with silence, a life with dignity. You've tried bargaining with clients, offering extra smiles, extra care, extra pain. Some promise to return, most don't. One gave you a coin and said, "For your freedom." You still have it. You don't know what it's worth. You've stopped believing in miracles, but you still clean yourself like one might happen. You still perfume yourself like someone might notice. You still smile like someone might care. And still you endure. You chase the dream through vinegar and ash, through blood and bark, through silence and ritual. Because in this place, hope is the cruelest hygiene of all.
You follow the rules,
Not because they make sense, most don't, but because breaking them hurts more than obeying. The hygiene rituals here aren't written in books or carved into stone. They're passed down in whispers, enforced with slaps, and shaped by men who never bathe. The madam has her own system. You scrub before dusk, shave every third day, perfume before clients, and never, ever bleed in the front room. If you do, you're punished. If you don't, you're ignored. Either way, you lose. Historians still argue whether brothel hygiene was dictated by municipal law or internal custom. Some cities had ordinances requiring weekly baths or inspections. Others left it to the madams, who enforced rules based on profit, not health. You've never seen a law. You've seen plenty of rules. You've learned them all. Don't use too much water. Don't waste herbs. Don't clean when clients are watching. Don't smell like vinegar. Don't smell like sweat. Don't smell like anything, really, unless it's something they like. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Vienna where women were fined for not perfuming their feet. You laughed when you heard it. Then you started doing it, just in case. You've seen the madam inspect girls like livestock. Teeth, skin, hair, scent. She lifts skirts, checks thighs, sniffs necks. You stand still, smile, pretend you don't mind. You do, but you've learned to hide it.
You've tried bending the rules, cleaning at night, using extra herbs, skipping a shave. You were caught. You were punished. You learned. You obey. You've seen girls punished for things they couldn't control. A rash, a fever, a stain. One girl was locked in the cellar for smelling wrong. She came back quiet. You don't ask what happened. You've stopped questioning the rules. You follow them like a dance. Scrub, rinse, perfume. Smile. You move through the steps with precision, with silence, with resignation. You've tried creating your own rituals. A sprig of mint behind your ear, a whispered prayer before shaving, a song while scrubbing. They help. A little. They're yours. You've seen the rules change. A new client wants a different scent. A new madam enforces a new schedule. You adapt. You survive. You forget what came before. You've stopped hoping for fairness. The rules aren't meant to protect you. They're meant to present you. You're a product, polished and perfumed, wrapped in ritual. You've memorized the schedule. You know when to clean, when to smile, when to bleed. You know how to hide the pain, how to fake the joy, how to endure the routine. You've stopped asking why. You just follow. You scrub with ash, shave with rust,
perfume with wilted herbs. You smile when inspected, you cry when alone. And still you endure. You follow rules written by strangers, enforced by fear, shaped by survival. Because in this place, hygiene is just another performance.
You fade slowly, not in a dramatic collapse, not in a scream or a gasp, but in quiet ways. Your skin loses its glow, your eyes their spark, your voice its rhythm. You become a shadow in the corner, a whisper in the straw, a body that moves but no longer feels. It starts with the small things. You forget to perfume your neck. You skip a shave. You rinse with water that smells worse than you do. No one notices. Or maybe they do, and they've stopped caring. You're no longer the new girl. You're part of the furniture. Historians still argue whether the emotional and physical decline of medieval prostitutes was documented or deliberately ignored. Some accounts describe women who aged rapidly, who lost teeth, hair, vitality. Others suggest they simply vanished into illness, into death, into silence. You believe both. You feel both. You've stopped checking the mirror. It's cracked anyway, and the reflection doesn't help. You see someone you don't recognize, someone tired, someone used, someone fading. There's a fringe tale from a brothel in Cologne where women were said to disappear into the walls, buried behind bricks, forgotten by time. You've stared at the walls here. You've imagined slipping into them. You've imagined being forgotten. You've stopped cleaning with care. You scrub because it's expected, not because it matters. You rinse because the madam checks, not because you believe it helps. You perfume because the scent masks the rot, not because it makes you feel beautiful. You've seen girls fade faster. One stopped speaking entirely. Another stopped eating. Another stopped moving. They were replaced. Their straw was fluffed. Their dresses passed on. You watched. You didn't cry. You've tried holding on to rituals, to tokens, to memories, but they slip through your fingers like water. You forget the names of the herbs. You forget the songs. You forget yourself. You've stopped resisting. The blade cuts, the vinegar burns, the lice bite, and you let them. You don't flinch. You don't scream. You don't care. You've become invisible. Clients pass you by. The madam forgets your name. The other girls stop asking if you're okay. You stop answering. You've tried reclaiming yourself, a new braid, a new scent, a new smile. It fades. You fade. You become part of the brothel, its smell, its sound, its silence. You've stopped hoping for escape. You've stopped dreaming of baths, of beds, of freedom. You've stopped imagining a world where you're more than this. And still, you endure. You fade into silence, into straw, into routine. Because in this place, even your disappearance goes unnoticed. You lie still now, the straw beneath you damp but familiar. The lavender sprig is gone, crumbled, lost, maybe stolen, but you don't reach for it. The lies still crawl, the vinegar still stings, the blade still bites. But tonight you don't move, you just breathe. The room is quiet, not peaceful, but quiet. The kind of quiet that settles in after too many years, too many wounds, too many rituals. You hear the others breathing, shifting, whispering. You don't join them. You just listen. Your skin aches. Your limbs are heavy. Your thoughts drift like smoke. You remember the river, the market, the sprig of lavender. You remember the girl with the swollen eye, the one who sang, the one who vanished. You remember yourself once. The air is thick, but you breathe it in anyway, slowly, gently, like it might carry you somewhere softer, somewhere cleaner, somewhere kinder. You close your eyes, not to sleep, not to dream, but to rest. Just for a moment, just long enough to forget the vinegar, the ash, the blade. Just long enough to remember the scent of mint, the sound of singing, the feel of clean water. You're still here, fading, yes, forgotten, maybe, but still here, still breathing, still enduring. So let the fan hum, let the lights dim, let the silence wrap around you like a blanket. You've made it through another night. You've survived the filth, the rituals, the fading. And now you rest.